Hello, chess fans. Welcome to another edition of Chess Chat, a program brought to you live from the Workers' Credit Union studios at Fitchburg Access Television. I am George Meridanian, Program Director of the Wachusett Chess Club at Fitchburg State University. This club, the second oldest chess club in Massachusetts, meets every Wednesday evening from 6:30 to 10:30 in rooms 142 and 143 of the McKay Complex at the university. And with me once again for this edition of Chess Chat is our award-winning director, Darren Dame of Fitchburg, recipient of FATV's prestigious Boulder Award in 2009. He's assisted in the control room and also on camera by fellow resident and longtime Wachusett Chess Club member, Brian Bigelow. And sitting across from me is my trusty chess colleague, chess confidant, chess author, chess photographer, Wachusett Chess Club statistician, active tournament player, and an all-around good guy, Dave Couture of Westminster. Hello, Dave.
Hello, George. What is a chess confidant exactly?
Well, you confide in me as far as all your chess secrets,
Okay.
as far as
All right.
what,
Okay.
again, that's what a confidant does. You
All
divulge to me what I
All
should
right.
know as
All
far as
right.
in the world of chess.
Okay.
Now, Dave, this Chess Chat today is going to be devoted to an historic chess event that took place 25 years ago.
Yep.
It's the 25th anniversary of a monumental event that took place in New York City, and it was when IBM's computer, Deep Blue, defeated world champion Garry Kasparov, and that was an historic event.
Yep.
Now, what should we tell our viewers about that match that took place in May 1997? First of all, how many games were played in this match?
Okay, so it was 6 games.
Right.
6-game match, played
Right.
over, I think, 8 days, so there were just two break days, I think, in between.
Okay,
I forget what the time control was, but it was a long time control.
okay, they did play with the clock, with the chess clock,
with
right?
the clock.
Okay,
And Kasparov won the first game,
yes,
then Deep Blue won the second game,
okay.
which was critical, and then there were 3 draws, so
Right.
it was tied
going into the
two and a half going into the last round.
Okay,
Which is the game we're going to present. And then Deep Blue won that game, and Kasparov, this was Kasparov's quickest loss of his professional career. He lost
Yeah.
in 19 moves.
yeah, it was unprecedented
Unprecedented.
for
yeah.
a world champion, the strongest player in the world, to lose to this computer. Now, didn't Deep Blue and Kasparov play the previous year?
Yep.
In 1996
They
in
played in
Philadelphia,
1996, yep.
and Kasparov won that match.
Won 4-2,
Right.
and everybody was keen, and IBM and Kasparov were both keen on saying, let's try this again in a year.
Okay.
And I think at the time Kasparov figured, yeah, it's going to be the same result, right? I mean,
Right.
maybe it'll be a little bit better by next year, but I just won 4-2. I should be able to win again.
Now, you told me and the Chess Chat crew, Darren Dame and Brian Bigelow, that even though IBM lost the match in '96, what happened to their stock?
So
even losing the match.
in the course of that week, the company valuation based on stock went up a little over $3 billion
in that 1 week.
in that 1 week.
Yeah.
So it got into the heads of the top executives that
Right.
our valuation went up $3 billion when we lost. Imagine what would happen if we were to win.
Wow.
So their whole attitude changed after that. They became very adversarial with Kasparov, not sharing any information with him, and
Okay.
because they had it in their heads that they were going to try to win this time.
So they signed a contract for a rematch
Right.
for '97.
Yeah.
Now, Darren actually has some photos from the match, actually showing the developer, actually some of the software engineers
Yeah.
who were involved in the producing this program. Now, this is a photo that the fellow seated.
Right.
It was actually the chief programmer.
Yep.
What's his name?
Feng Shu.
Okay.
So he's called the founding father of Deep Blue.
Really, he's
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Now, do you know some of the other players?
Yeah, so the people way on the left, I think, might be executives.
Okay. IBM executives
Standing right behind Feng Shu is
in the light jacket.
Well, in the light jacket is Joel Benjamin, a grandmaster,
Okay.
who helped them out.
Okay.
And
who is standing to
standing-
his left?
so standing right behind Feng Shu is Murray Campbell,
Yes.
who worked on what they call the evaluation component of Deep Blue. So,
Right.
so he and Feng Shu worked
Yes.
closely together.
Right.
So there was some prize associated with the first computer to beat a world champion.
Okay.
And so Feng Shu and Murray Campbell actually, I think, split that money. It was $100,000, I think.
Okay. Okay.
So they split
that
money.
prize.
So those are the three main ones I know. So like I say, the guys on the left, I think, might be IBM executives. And
Right. Now you told me and our staff that that both Feng Shu and Murray Campbell studied at Carnegie Mellon University.
Right.
And of course, that's where our former World Champion Jeff Lepore
Right.
went to school.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yep.
we have a little connection, Carnegie Mellon connection.
Yeah, the Carnegie Mellon computer science department is world renowned.
World renowned.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we could get into this sixth game unless we have some more photos. We're going to be
That's
able
right.
to show some photos from the match. But again, we're going to play. We're going to show. Okay, now this is actually a photo from the last game here, the sixth game we're going to present.
I don't know if that's from the last game or not. That
okay,
photo.
But it's from the match. It's from the
match.
1997 match, May.
And I believe that's probably Murray Campbell moving the pieces for Deep Blue.
Right, he's moving the pieces off for the computer. Okay, so in the last game, Game 6, who had white in Game 6?
So Deep Blue had white.
And what did Deep Blue open with in Game 6 against Kasparov?
Started with E4.
All right, a move we played many, many times.
And I think Deep Blue probably always opened with E4.
Yes.
That allowed them to have a smaller opening book programmed if they knew all we have to do.
Yes.
If we're always going to start with E4, that makes it simpler, you know.
So it actually narrowed down the
Yeah.
what they had to program. Okay, so in response to E4, Kasparov plays C6. Now, what is this? This must have a name. Does it have a name already?
Sure, the Karo Khan.
Karo Khan.
Yep.
Now, do you know the history of the Karo Khan defense?
Nope, I don't.
Okay. The Karo Khan defense, actually, this move C6 in response to E4 goes back at least more than 400 years.
Okay.
It was the great Italian player, Giulio Palerio. I mean, the Italians produced a lot of great players back in
Early on,
16th century. And he, in one of his manuscripts, he actually mentions this move C6, but of course no name was attached to it in his manuscript.
Right.
It wasn't until the late 1880s that two players, Horatio Caro, who was an English player but spent most of his time in Berlin, Germany, playing chess,
Okay.
and Marcus Kahn, who was a master from Vienna, they analyzed the response, and they said, you know, this is a very good defense.
Yep.
More players should play this. So the name Karo Khan was attached to this defense based
Right.
on these two players,
Yep.
Horatio Caro and Marcus Kahn. And again, it's a very popular defense. Not
Right.
as popular as the Sicilian defense.
Right.
Yeah, but again, it's a very solid.
It's considered solid, more passive.
More passive, but a good defense.
Yeah.
All right, so what did the Deep Blue do on the second move?
So Deep Blue did what the most common move, and we've said before, if you can take E4 and D4 on your first two moves as white,
right,
there's-
grab the center. If you can
just grab the center.
grab the center.
Basically, there's no way you can go wrong doing that.
No. Okay, so Kasparov now plays the pawn to D5. All right, so by playing the pawn to D5, he's now attacking the pawn on E4, which is undefended. Now, before we play Deep Blue's third move, what are the choices that actually White has here in response to D5?
Well, I think the key ones are you can
Push,
That's called
E5.
the advanced variation, I think.
Yes, the advanced variation. How about, for example, just exchanging?
I guess you can exchange,
He takes D5, yeah?
and I think those are the
Those
main,
are the three major ones, yeah.
the main two alternatives, and then knight to C3, which it played is the main move.
Okay, so that's what Deep Blue played.
Yeah.
We'll see that move knight C3 played on our screen here. And the knight is coming on B1 to C3. Here we have it.
So it's developing and it's guarding the pawn on E4.
Okay, what does Kasparov do? Well, he captures the pawn on e4 with the d pawn. D takes e4 is his move, okay, which actually makes Deep Blue's response very easy to.
Right, so Deep Blue just recaptures.
Knight takes e4.
Knight takes e4.
Okay, now before we play Kasparov's move, we should point out to our viewers what's available to black in this position. One good alternative is to play the bishop on c8 to f5,
Attacking
the knight, which
Right.
is undefended. Another possibility is actually bringing the knight on g8 to f6
Right.
and attack the knight, although this would allow the possibility of white taking the knight on f6 and doubling the pawns. But what Kasparov played was the knight on b8 to d7. So he played knight d7. He's relocating. That's going to not stay there.
Right.
Has a plan to relocate. All right. What does Deep Blue now? Let's move now 5.
I'll leave you to talk about this one. This is, to me, seems sort of odd, but I guess it's a standard move, knight to g5.
Well, it is odd, again, but it's a move that you might actually see beginners play. You know, when I was taught chess many moons ago, I was taught do not waste time moving the same piece
Right.
twice in the open.
Develop new pieces.
Right, exactly. Now here's where Deep Blue could have developed another piece, a knight
Right.
on, but why did Deep Blue move that knight? Because this is a playable line.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Like I say, I'll leave you to explain it because it's.
Okay, but again, so what does Kasparov do in response to that? What he does, he brings the knight on g8. Doesn't he actually bring this knight, develop this knight?
Yeah.
So he's ahead in development. He's got 2 pieces developed, and actually white is behind in development as the one who started the game.
Right, but white still has all these open lines,
Yes,
whereas black has to move things to get the bishops out.
Exactly. It takes time.
Yeah.
Everything takes time. All right, so what does Deep Blue now do in response to Kasparov's move?
So just a straight developing move, bishop to d3.
Okay. All right, excellent square to be on.
Yep.
All right, so what Kasparov does, he moves his pawn to e6, which now does open up for the dark squared bishop to come out.
Right.
All right, so that was his move. All right, so what does Deep Blue do now on the 7th move?
Knight to f3.
Okay, we see it on our screen here. The knight moves to f3. Knight okay.
And we should say these are all pretty standard book moves up to this point.
Yeah, this has probably been played. Would I dare say this has been played millions of times in the world?
Possibly.
It's very possible.
I'd say at
certainly
least
hundreds of
certainly thousands of times. Yep.
Hundreds of thousands of times. Yeah. So this is a known variation in the Caro-Kann defense. So now what are we going to do here after the night? All right.
This is one of the most controversial moves of the whole game.
Now here is going to come. Is it a mistake coming?
It's probably a mistake.
It's probably a mistake.
And people have said that Kasparov would not have played this against a human grandmaster.
Right.
Because he knows what the response would be from a human.
Right. So he took a chance here by playing this move.
He took a chance because he didn't think this move was going to be in the book of
the
Deep
computer.
Blue. And he thought it's going to have to calculate.
Right.
And when it calculates, it's not going to know that taking this pawn is the best move because it's not going to give up a knight. He thought a computer's never going to do that. He's probably just going to withdraw, and he would be happy with that.
Okay. So what Kasparov did do, he played the pawn to h6, attacking the knight on g5.
Attacking the knight.
Expecting the knight actually to retreat.
Was going to retreat.
Okay. Little did he know. That the Deep Blue actually had been programmed.
So it didn't have to calculate. It was in its book, and it played the best move, and I guess Kasparov really reacted visibly at that point when that move came.
He had to be shocked when he saw the computer play that move.
I think he was, yeah.
All right. So what he did is the knight is, of course, attacking. Now, he could have taken the knight immediately, but no, he wanted to bring the queen out to pin the knight and threaten to win that knight. Yeah.
We probably could, I mean, if you want to show quickly, if he had taken, this would have been a disaster.
Oh, yes. Then
because this bishop would come in, the king would have to go here, blocking.
Black is paralyzed.
Absolutely paralyzed,
Kasparov did not want to face this.
He would be lost.
So that's why he didn't take the knight immediately.
So he didn't take the knight immediately.
So what he chose to do, He brings the queen here,
Right.
also allows another escape square for the king here,
Right.
but he's threatening to actually to take here. However,
Right.
what does deep blue do on the 9th move?
So he castles. So
Right.
the pin is broken now. The
Right.
knight could move out.
And again, a move that beginners might make, which is a blunder, would be actually taking the knight with the queen.
Right.
That would be horrendous because the
because
rook
white would come here
and win the queen.
and win the queen.
Okay.
So
What he does here, Kasparov does, he takes the knight with the pawn.
Yep.
F takes on E6. So he's a piece ahead.
yep.
The computer has actually sacrificed the knight in the
Right.
opening. Okay.
Which, if it had to calculate on its own,
Yep.
probably wouldn't have done, but it was in its opening book.
Right. But Kasparov didn't know that. Kasparov didn't know
did
that,
not know.
that this is all part of
So now
the book of the computer. Okay.
bishop to G6 check.
Okay, that's move 10. We see it, the check. Yep, okay, so the king only has one square.
Yeah.
King goes to D8. All right, that's played. All right, what is deep blue doing now on the 11th move?
Yeah, I forgot my printout, so I'm trying to read upside down. So I think,
Yeah.
no, I think I got it. So
You got
bishop,
it? You got
bishop to F4, right?
Okay, another piece. Yeah, so
So
actually,
yeah.
he controls this
Right.
escape square. Yeah.
Right. So Kasparov might have liked to have moved the
Yes.
king out there to get out of the way, but now
No,
he can't.
No, now the king cannot move at all.
The king can't move.
It's totally, yeah, so that knight sacrifice is causing big problems for Kasparov.
Right.
So after bishop F4, Kasparov realizes he's got to gain some space on the queen side.
Right. He's got to develop his bishop.
Right,
yeah.
get his bishop into play. So he plays the pawn to B5. Let's see that. B5. Yeah, we see it. B5 by black. All right, deep blue's move
Deep
12.
blue, yeah, is basically, if Kasparov has any idea of getting his king safe on the queen side,
Yes.
he's just going to destroy.
Yes, right. So we have an
side.
immediate attack on the pawn on
A4,
B5.
yep.
Of course, it's defended by the pawn on C6. However, what Kasparov does after he sees the move to A4 is he brings the bishop. We got to get this bishop into play here.
Yep.
So he plays bishop B7. We see it on the screen. Yep, there it is, bishop B7. All right. So what is deep blue doing now on the 13th move?
So deep blue plays rook E1, developing it to a central file. Now this pawn is pinned.
Right.
So
Exactly.
he could put a piece there and it'd be safe.
Right. So after rook E1, what Kasparov does now is brings this knight on F6 to D5, and it's attacking this undefended bishop on
Right.
F4.
Right.
Okay. All right. So what is deep blue going to do?
So deep blue simply pulls it back to G3, and it's still covering that square, the
Okay.
escape square.
All right. So Kasparov in this position, it's his 14th move. He moves his king over to C8. Doesn't he know C8?
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
he's on C8. Okay. All right. So he's
So you can see that black
Yeah.
just has nothing good he can do here.
black is totally paralyzed
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
All right. So king on C8. What does deep blue now do? It's
So
it takes the pawn.
he takes B5. Now
A
he's
okay. A takes
opening
B5.
that up for the rook.
Okay. So Kasparov recaptures the pawn on C6, captures on B5.
Yep.
Okay, so there's a pawn exchange. All right, now what does the deep blue do? It's the king is
Queen to D3,
queen. Wow, attacking this pawn, which is undefended.
attacking that pawn.
So that pawn has to be defended. He doesn't want to lose it, right? So what does he do? He actually brings the bishop on B7 to C6,
Right.
which protects the pawn on B5. Okay.
Yep.
All right, so now it's deep blue's move. He's going to play
So
17th
yep, 17th
move.
bishop to F5.
Oh, we got problems
And
here.
again, this pawn is pinned. If he captures, he's going to lose the queen. But
Right, you can't capture the bishop because he would lose the queen.
but
also,
there's a lot of threats here. I mean,
we got a double attack. We got
double attack. I mean, he's threatening to come here.
yeah.
with the
This
rook.
is not. This is not good. This is not good.
So
Yeah, and he chose not to. He chose not to bring the knight back to C6, which actually restricts him. Gives him less space for the king.
the king even more.
Yeah. So what he,
I mean,
what
'cause
he,
if he did, the bishop could take it, for example.
oh, that's
anyway.
true. That's right. Yeah. That doesn't help. Bringing the bishop would just eliminate that, and he still would continue taking
Right.
on the C6. So what Kasparov did in response to this, he took the bishop
Yeah.
with the pawn.
Yep. So he decided he's going to get a bishop and a rook for the queen.
All right, a bishop and a rook for the queen. He figures, okay, he already got a knight for the sacrifice.
Right.
Now he figures he'll have a rook, a bishop, and a knight for the queen. All right.
It was probably the best move he could make. So now the rook takes the queen on e7.
Okay. So rook takes on e7, and of course Kasparov responds with bishop takes e7.
Captures.
So he figures materially he has a bishop, rook, and a queen, and 2 pawns for the queen and 3 pawns. But that's not enough.
It's not enough.
Not enough materially. I mean, well, if you look actually, what is the rook worth?
About 5 roughly,
pawns.
and those are
so
3.
this is equivalent actually to what?
11 roughly.
What is a queen worth? Usually
10 roughly.
9 or 10.
9 or 10.
So materially, even with the one less pawn, materially he's ahead materially, but positionally it's a different story.
He's lost. Yeah.
He's lost here. All right. So what happens next now? It's Deep Blue's move.
This is the final move. So Deep Blue plays c4.
Oh wow. Okay. And this looks very nasty. The pawn attacks the knight. But it also attacks this, which is only defended once.
Yeah.
And this is where Kasparov resigned.
This is where Kasparov resigned, and we actually have video.
Okay. So this is actually we have actually a photo.
Okay, well, that's a photo. That's near the end.
Near
and
the end.
You can see what state of mind Kasparov is in.
Okay. So our director Darren Dame actually has a video clip.
Of the very end.
From the end of the game.
Right.
That we're going to see and see his Kasparov's reaction to c4 that was played by Deep Blue.
Yeah.
So this is the video. Here, let's see it.
The bishop can easily fall victim to what we call an overload tactic. When one piece has to defend so many pieces, there's always a problem that there's an overload tactic and he may go down. Garry is not. He looks. I mean, he looks.
What are we missing something on the chessboard now that Kasparov sees? He does not look. He looks disgusted. In fact, he looks just.
And he went on, and he should get an Oscar,
an award,
and he should get $300,000 for it.
And whoa, Deep Blue Kasparov, after the move c4, has resigned.
And that was it. History was made.
History was made. We saw Kasparov's reaction by resigning resigning the game and the match.
Yeah.
And again, now you said that Kasparov actually made claims that about cheating. That the computer.
Yeah. So you could say Kasparov hadn't been himself since game 2 when the computer won.
Right. Exactly.
One of the things that happened in game 2 was the computer made a move.
Right. In game 2.
In game 2, that Kasparov couldn't believe that a computer would make that kind of move. It was a kind of move like you said, like Karpov would have made.
Right.
It was not a computer move at all. It was a human move.
Right.
And so he got in his head from that point on. He started wondering, are they, in an attempt to win, do they have a human, vetting the moves, before they're transmitted? Basically, do they have a grandmaster helping them out?
Yeah.
And he basically, at a press conference after the second or third game, essentially accused them of cheating, which to this day, I mean, I don't think anyone really believes they were, but his reaction was somewhat understandable because no computer up to that point would have played that kind of move. So he had it in his head from that point on that he's wondering, are they cheating?
Right.
So every game after that, he's got this in his head. Are they?
Yes.
Do they have a grandmaster back there helping them out?
Right.
So he wasn't himself from that point on. You could have said after game 2 he was already lost. He just wasn't himself. He wasn't playing like Kasparov. I mean, throughout the match, he was playing what they call anti-computer chess.
Yes.
Where he tried to get positions where things were locked up, because up to that point in time, computers didn't know what to do in those positions. There were no
he didn't
tactics.
want to play tactics with the computer.
Right.
Because he knew that the computer was superior in tactics. So he wanted to play position. He wanted to play positional chess.
Right, which is not his normal style, but he thought, he could beat the computer with it.
Right.
And
it boomeranged. It actually backfired.
And it boomeranged. Joel Benjamin said that, you know, in the year between the first match and this one, that was one of the things they focused on, is playing this type of game, because they knew in the past computers didn't know what to do, so they spent a ton of time focusing on it. Of course, Kasparov didn't know that.
Right, he didn't know. He had no idea. Now, the father of the program, you have this book that actually was written by him, Feng Sheng Shu. There was a quote, I think you wanted to read a quote from him. By the chief the programmer. So what does he have to say about this book he devoted to the Deep Blue?
So this was when he was in college at Carnegie Mellon.
Right.
And this was before he had committed himself to doing this.
Right.
He said, "I did not go to Carnegie Mellon to work on computer games. Working on computer chess would be quite a deviation from my original interest. Moreover, the commitment could easily take 5 to 10 years. Writing the technical report and doing the presentation, however, made me realize that I had the basic blueprint to build the mother of all chess machines, a machine that could defeat the world champion. In other words, I had a chance to pursue one of the oldest holy grails in computer science and possibly make history. On the negative side, the printer controller looked quite promising as well, and it was not an idea that could wait. So this is 1985.
Right.
Personal laser printers were still in their infancy, and there was a limited time window to make a custom printer controller chip widely adopted before the industry standard set in. There was some chance that the printer controller idea could make me financially independent." So imagine that, you're a college student looking at, you could become wealthy. You know? He says there was practically no chance that solving the computer chess problem would ever provide any financial reward commensurate with the time and efforts required. If I went after the computer chess problem, I would be going for the glory of knowing that I solved the problem. I probably would not be financially destitute, but there would be major personal sacrifices. The opportunity cost would be extremely high. I could be spending many of the most productive years of my life on a project that had a very slim payoff. The decision was a difficult one. In the end, after serious soul searching, I decided to go for the glory. You don't get a chance to make history every day.
Wow.
Of course, he didn't know for sure he was going to make history. But
But he did.
But he did, yeah.
Now, well, we said that the computer Deep Blue lost the match in '96, but despite that, IBM stock went up, you know, in 1 week, what, $3 billion?
$3 billion during that
but
match.
What did he gain by winning the match, by beating Kasparov?
Well, I say their whole attitude changed when the stock went up so much. They realized, what would happen if we were to win a match? Imagine that. And so after they signed the contract, their attitude towards Kasparov became completely different. When Kasparov asked to see some of the games that it was playing, because you like to prepare against an opponent, they said, no, if you look at the contract, we said you can see our public games. These are private games. So in any event, the week of the match in '97, when they won, in that week, their stock went up over $11 billion.
$11 billion in 1 week.
In total valuation,
Now, you also said that the people actually, if they were to go on YouTube, there is actually, what, a video?
There's a guy who does Down the Rabbit Hole videos, it's called.
Down the Rabbit Hole
If you look for Deep Blue Down the Rabbit Hole, it's a 2-hour documentary that he does, which is very good about the development of it and the matches, and it's very well done.
So we can recommend to our viewers
that it's on YouTube, it's free to view.
Free, okay. Well, again, our Chess Chat viewers, we hope you enjoyed the game that Dave and I presented to you from the 1997 historic Deep Blue versus Garry Kasparov match. And we learned a lot about this match, an historic match that no one thought that actually the world champion would ever lose to the computer, but it did. And it changed the nature of chess as far as human supremacy in chess. It showed that a human can actually defeat the strongest chess player in the world.
A computer,
Computer can, yes, the computer can. Okay, we'll see you next time on Chess Chat. We promise to bring you a very fascinating program involving the Russian-Ukrainian war. Stay tuned for our next edition of Chess Chat.